When a traveling bride stepped off at the wrong depot, a child's whispered prayer changed everything. Daddy, heaven heard our wishes at last. Summer's End. 1887, New Mexico. Territory's forgotten settlement of Dust Creek. Desert winds swept across weathered timber platforms that barely qualified as civilization's edge. This speck of humanity boasted little more than a trading post, drinking establishment, and railway tracks that trains remembered sporadically at best. Evening shadows stretched, long when steam hissed and iron wheels squealed against rails. Metal doors groaned open, releasing a young woman whose pristine boots and elegant clothing marked her as distinctly out of place. She clutched a modest travel case, squinting against harsh sunlight. Miss Amanda Whitmore surveyed her surroundings with growing confusion. Nobody awaited her arrival. Stepping carefully onto sun-bleached boards, dust immediately claimed her skirt's edges. The correspondence she'd treasured promised someone called Walter would greet her in Creekstone. Yet the weathered envelope now seemed more puzzled than comfort. Handwriting blurred by time, ink smeared beyond clarity. Her torn map, missing crucial details where town names should appear. She searched desperately for welcoming faces. Waiting carriages? Any sign of recognition? The few townspeople present focused entirely on cargo duties, completely ignoring her predicament. Doubt crept across her features. Could this possibly be her destination? A sudden gasp broke her thoughts. Small feet thundered across wooden planks before tiny arms encircled her waist. Looking down, Amanda discovered a golden-haired child, tears streaming down rosy cheeks. Mother, heaven, answered our prayers. The little one cried. Shock froze Amanda completely. This desperate child clung as if fearing abandonment, small hands gripping fabric, face buried in unfamiliar skirts. Olivia. A masculine voice rang sharply across the platform. An imposing figure approached. Dusty footwear, faded denim, powerful shoulders beneath worn cotton. Sun-weathered features showed deep concern as he quickened his pace, and hesitated upon seeing Amanda. Forgive her intrusion, miss, he said, kneeling to gently separate the child. She becomes confused sometimes. Little Olivia gazed upward, still sniffling. She resembles mother, came her whispered explanation. Standing tall above both females, the stranger offered an apologetic expression. I hope she caused no alarm. Amanda shook her head slowly, still processing the encounter. Not alarmed, merely surprised. I'm Amanda Whitmore. I believe I've disembarked incorrectly. Randy Cooper, he replied, and this is my daughter, Olivia. Where did you intend to travel? Creekstone, she answered, retrieving her worn letter. Randy examined the envelope briefly, raising an eyebrow. No such place exists nearby, miss. The closest settlement is Dust Creek right here. Amanda stared across endless plains. So I'm completely lost? Afraid so, he confirmed, scratching his neck nervously. Railway service is infrequent. You'll likely need overnight accommodations. Amanda exhaled in frustration. The weight of miscalculation, empty platforms, and a child's mistaken embrace pressed heavily upon her heart. Randy shifted uncomfortably. My wagon's nearby. Our home sits half a mile out. You're welcome to shelter tonight. It's modest, but dry. And honestly, my daughter won't stop questioning your presence otherwise. Amanda hesitated as twilight approached, wind growing colder. No lodging, no illuminated town center, no waiting transportation, only this man, his child. In an endless sky offering no refuge, your kindness would be greatly appreciated, she said softly. Randy nodded simply. Olivia reached for Amanda's hand shyly. Miss Amanda, she whispered, cheeks flushing pink. Amanda smiled gently, accepting the small hand. As the trio left the platform behind, the locomotive hissed once more before disappearing into desert darkness, leaving behind a woman who'd found herself in the wrong place, but perhaps the right story. Dawn broke early across, casting lengthy shadows over parched earth while desert breezes stirred brittly. The Cooper homestead perched on scorched prairie edges where land seemed to promise nothing while stretching endlessly. Their dwelling appeared plain, patched where necessary, accompanied by a small barn and a well that protested when drawn too quickly. Inside, morning air carried coffee aromas and aged wood scents. Amanda sat rigidly on a chair's edge, holding a chipped cup while observing Olivia carefully spreading butter on cornbread. The child's smile hadn't dimmed since awakening. Randy worked outside, splitting kindling, his axe's rhythmic strikes echoing through morning stillness. Amanda's gaze found the mantelpiece where a small photograph rested in carved wood, a woman's image. Faded by years, but radiating familiar warmth. Surely Olivia's mother. Her name was Lily, Olivia said, catching Amanda's glance. My mama used to sing me to sleep. The melodies escape me now, but I remember her gentle touch, soft like yours. Amanda smiled faintly, heart constricting. Do you miss her deeply? Olivia nodded earnestly. Every single day. But Daddy explains that missing someone proves their importance. The axe fell silent outside. Amanda rose, stepping onto the porch where Randy stacked the final firewood pieces, sleeves rolled back, fabric darkened with perspiration. May I assist with anything? She offered. He looked up, wiping his brow with his hands back. You needn't feel obligated. You're our guest. Amanda folded her arms. I'd prefer being useful. Randy hesitated, then gestured toward an apple basket beside the door. Olivia and I plan to bake this afternoon. Her peeling skills need improvement. Amanda nodded. That I can manage. They worked in comfortable silence, Amanda, preparing apples, while Randy repaired fencing nearby. The landscape remained quiet, except for wind, through grass, and her old mules' occasional calls. I served in the cavalry, Randy said eventually, not lifting his gaze. 3 years of service. Acquired this property after the war ended. Amanda paused, surprised by his openness. My wife died here, he continued, during Olivia's birth. I was powerless to help. Amanda lowered her knife. I'm deeply sorry. He nodded once. She was my one true love. I assumed I'd remain a widower forever. Amanda waited, sensing more to come, but Olivia began nightly prayers, Randy said quietly, requesting someone to read bedtime stories. Brush her hair, comfort her during storms, he turned. Meeting Amanda's gaze directly, I considered arranging a marriage. Even completed the paperwork and purchased postage, but couldn't bring myself to send that letter. Amanda swallowed, fingers curling around the apple. Fear held me back, Randy admitted. Fear that someone would come and I'd lack the heart to love them, disappointing Olivia once again. And now? Amanda asked quietly. He studied her long and searchingly, but remained silent. Later that evening, Olivia knelt beside her bed, hands clasped, eyes tightly closed. Dear Heaven, she whispered, thank you for sending someone kind. I know she wasn't meant for here, but perhaps you knew Daddy would never ask, so you sent her anyway. Amanda stood unseen in the doorway, hand over her heart. Outside, Randy watched amber skies shift to navy, listening to wind move through prairie grass. Wondering how a stranger could feel like lifelong familiarity, Amanda stirred the pot slowly, simmering beans filling the small kitchen with savory aromas. Her once-pressed dress now bore faint traces of dust and wood ash. Sleeves rolled, hair loosely pinned, as she moved with quiet ease. A woman discovering rhythm she hadn't known she craved. Randy leaned in the doorway, arms crossed, observing her work. Olivia chased chickens outside, laughter ringing freely across the yard. You cook as if you've mastered wood stoves before, Randy remarked. Amanda glanced over her shoulder. I haven't, but observed the housekeeper in Boston. She permitted attempts when Mother wasn't watching. Silence passed between them. Amanda turned fully, wiping her hands on cloth. Mother wanted me to marry a banker, she said. 43, widowed, owned half a city block near Charles Street. His hair was too greased, cologne too strong. Randy raised an eyebrow. Why refuse? Because I couldn't envision 40 years in drawing rooms pretending to be someone's ornament. I desired something else, something genuine. She paused, eyes finding the window where Olivia crafted daisy chains in dirt. I responded to a mail-order bride advertisement. The gentleman wrote sweet correspondence, promised open skies and honest living, but we never met. I'm uncertain he ever intended to. Randy frowned. You mentioned Creekstone as your destination. Amanda nodded. That's what the letter indicated, but the name was smudged and my map tore through county boundaries. I disembarked here accidentally. Randy exhaled, looking away. Few women venture this far west without knowing their exact destination. Amanda smiled faintly. I suppose I wasn't seeking a place. I hoped to find a reason for staying. That night, she mended Olivia's damaged doll. Reattaching the button eye and stitching the arm, Olivia watched wide-eyed. Can you braid hair too? The girl asked. I can attempt it, Amanda replied. Olivia crawled into her lap without hesitation. Doll pressed against her chest. Amanda ran fingers gently through the child's curls, working slowly, carefully. The house grew quiet except for crackling firewood and soft humming as Amanda sang a half-remembered lullaby. When Randy returned from tending livestock, he paused at the doorway. Amanda rocked gently in the old chair, Olivia sleeping against her shoulder. She looked up at him and whispered. She asked if she could call me Mama. He nodded once, voice low. She's never asked anyone that before. Amanda's eyes shimmered in firelight. I said she could if she wanted. Outside, stars awakened over silent plains. Amanda hadn't found her intended groom nor reached her planned destination. But within this weathered little house, with a quiet father and a loving child, she'd stumbled upon something far rarer than any letter promised, a place where she wasn't expected yet already needed. Amanda stood before the hallway's slightly crooked mirror. Evening had settled, warm dusk tones, fading into cool blue twilight. She smoothed her dress front, fingers pausing at the shoulder strap that had torn the previous day while hauling. Well, water, a small rip she'd intended to mend. Now, it was perfectly stitched with clean, precise needlework. The thread even matched the original seam. She hadn't touched it. Amanda blinked, gently tracing the careful handiwork. Downstairs, roasted chicken and cornbread aromas drifted through the house. Following the scent to the dining room, she found a modestly set table, tin plates, mismatched cups, a pitcher of fresh water, and a candle flickering inside a mason jar. Randy was already seated, sleeves rolled, hands scrubbed clean. Olivia sat beside him, legs swinging beneath her chair. Grinning as Amanda entered. You repaired my dress strap, Amanda said softly. Taking her seat across from them, Randy looked up from his plate with a slight shrug. It kept slipping. Thought it might annoy you. Amanda touched the seam again. It did, thank you. Olivia beamed. Daddy can fix almost anything. He used to repair Mama's belongings all the time. He even fixed the rocking chair when it broke. Mama said he possessed quiet magic. Randy coughed lightly, reaching for cornbread. Eat, Olivia. Amanda smiled, then noticed something else. The chair she'd sat in last night had wobbled so badly she feared it would collapse. Now it was steady, solid. She ran her hand beneath the seat, feeling new nails driven into wood. She looked up at Randy, expression softening. You fixed the chair too. He avoided her eyes. Just didn't want anyone tumbling during supper. A single oil lamp overhead cast steady flames behind cloudy glass. Bathing the room in warm amber light that wrapped the table in softness Amanda hadn't felt in years. They ate in near silence, save for occasional silverware clinking or Olivia's quiet chatter about a bird she'd spotted in the barn rafters. At one point, Commander reached for water, just as Randy did the same. Their fingers brushed. Both paused, then pulled back. Amanda let out a small laugh, trying to cover the sudden stillness in her chest. After clearing plates and watching Olivia wander to the hearth with her doll, Amanda stood beside the table, hands folded. Thank you for dinner and another night's shelter. Randy met her gaze for the first time that evening. No need for thanks. It's just food and shelter. No, Amanda said gently. It's more than that. He opened his mouth, then closed it. Uncertain, Amanda glanced toward the firelight where Olivia had curled up with her doll. Small fingers tracing the blanket's edge, Amanda had wrapped around her. "I used to think warmth came from fine things," Amanda said quietly. "Velvet drapes, fireplaces trimmed in gold. But I think sometimes it just comes from someone fixing a chair so you don't fall." Randy's eyes softened. "I don't talk much," he admitted. "You don't have to," she replied. The lamp flame flickered gently between them. Neither moved. Neither spoke again. But something passed through that quiet recognition, understanding. Peace. Amanda looked around the room once more, patched walls, worn floors, scents of wood smoke and bread and honest air. In that moment she realized something that startled her. There was more warmth in this small, dusty house with a man who fixed broken things, and a girl who believed in prayers than she'd ever felt among all her years of chandeliers and silk. The next morning, Randy stood on the porch, hands tucked into his belt, watching Amanda feed chickens with steady rhythm and quiet care. Olivia ran circles around her, giggling with every flutter of feathers. The sun hadn't fully climbed the horizon, but something had already shifted in the air. "She has a way with the animals," Randy muttered aloud, mostly to himself. By midday, Amanda was kneading dough in the kitchen. Sleeves rolled, hair pulled into a loose braid. Olivia sat at the table, threading yarn through a crooked piece of cloth with deep concentration. "What are you making?" Amanda asked, dusting flour from her hands. "A scarf," Olivia said proudly. "For when winter comes, for yourself." Amanda blinked. "For me?" "Of course," the girl answered as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Every mama needs a warm scarf. That night, after Olivia had fallen asleep to Amanda's soft voice reading from a tattered fairy tale book, Randy lingered by the doorway. "She sleeps easier when you read to her," he said. Amanda closed the book slowly, a voice barely above a whisper. "I sleep easier too." He looked down, scratched the back of his neck. "You've been helping considerably, more than I expected. If you want to stay longer until you figure out what comes next, I wouldn't mind." Amanda studied him, searching for meaning behind the offer. "You're sure it wouldn't be an inconvenience?" Randy shrugged. "It's already quieter with you here. Warmer, too." Amanda gave a small smile. "Then I'll stay a little longer." In the following days, the house bloomed in small, unspoken ways. Amanda added herbs to the stew, humming while she cooked. Olivia set flowers on the windowsill each morning. Randy laughed once at a story Amanda told about her aunt's prize poodle, who wore pearls to dinner, and Olivia nearly dropped her spoon in shock. "I didn't know Daddy could laugh," she exclaimed. Amanda smiled. "Neither did I. Evenings grew longer, fuller." Amanda sang lullabies by the fire, her voice weaving through wooden silence. Olivia curled closer every night, her tiny body trusting and warm. One afternoon, a letter arrived by horseback from the next town over. Randy handed it to Amanda without a word. Her hands trembled slightly as she opened it. The handwriting was familiar. Her heart gave a strange twist. She read it once, then again. The man she'd written to, her intended groom, had changed his mind. Said her delay in arrival was too long. Said the arrangement no longer suited him. No explanation beyond that. Amanda stood frozen in the doorway, the letter limp in her fingers. "I wasn't enough for him," she whispered. Randy took a step forward. "Amanda, ... She shook her head, eyes shining. "He never even met me. And still, I wasn't enough." She turned away, walked out into the yard where wind lifted her dress, hem and sky stretched endlessly wide. Randy watched her go, unsure if he should follow. Later that evening, Amanda sat on the porch alone, knees drawn up, Olivia's half-finished scarf in her lap. Her cheeks were damp, but she no longer cried. Inside the house, Randy looked down at his calloused hands, hands that once held rifles, buried a wife, raised a child, and now hesitated over the thought of reaching for someone again. Amanda had lost something that day. A name, a plan, a future she'd once imagined. But as Olivia crawled sleepily into her lap and whispered, "I love you, Mama," Amanda realized something just as powerful. She had found something too. something fragile, unspoken, real, and it was asking her to stay. Midday heat clung to earth like a second skin. Amanda worked in the garden, pulling weeds between bean rows when carriage wheels crunching gravel broke the silence. Olivia peeked through the kitchen window. "Daddy," she called. "Someone's coming here." Randy stepped onto the porch just as a tall woman descended from a glossy black buggy drawn by two chestnut horses. She was dressed in a plum traveling coat, gloves tight and spotless, her hat a tower of feathers and lace. Her gaze swept across the humble house in dry land with barely concealed distaste. "You must be Randall Cooper," she said, voice clipped and polished. "I am Eleanor Hargrove." Randy's jaw tensed. He stepped down from the porch slowly. "I didn't send for you." Eleanor smiled thinly. "No, but your sister did. Said you were too proud to finish what you started." She glanced around, frowning. "This place is smaller than I imagined." Amanda came into view, wiping her hands on H. "She's not the help," Randy said firmly. "She's our guest." "Guest," Eleanor repeated with a dry laugh. "That's one word for it." Amanda stiffened but said nothing. Her eyes met Randy's briefly, then dropped to the ground. "I brought my things," Eleanor continued. "Where should I put them?" Randy didn't move. "You came uninvited. Your sister said you needed a wife, a mother for your child, a woman with proper standing and resources to help manage this situation." Amanda turned then, walked quietly into the house. Olivia looked up at her, confused. "Where are you going?" "I'm going to pack a few things," Amanda said gently. "No." Olivia clung tighter. "Don't go." Eleanor stepped forward. "Really, Randall? It's unwise to let a child grow too attached to someone who's clearly temporary." Amanda flinched at the word. Randy's face hardened. "You don't speak to her or my daughter that way?" Eleanor looked taken aback. "I came all this way for you." "You ought to show some gratitude." "I didn't ask you to," Randy replied coldly. Inside, Amanda gathered her folded clothes, the little comb Olivia had given her, and the half-finished scarf. She moved with quiet hands, calm breath, but her chest was a storm. She didn't want to leave, but she wouldn't stay where she was unwanted. Downstairs, Eleanor paced the living room, inspecting everything from faded curtains to the worn rug. "This house needs a woman with vision," she declared. "Someone who knows how to civilize rough edges." Amanda came down the stairs slowly, her small bag in hand. She didn't look at Eleanor, only at Randy. "Thank you for everything," she said, voice steady but soft. "You gave me shelter when you didn't have to." Randy opened his mouth but found no words. Amanda knelt to kiss Olivia's forehead. "Be brave, sweetheart." The girl clutched her tightly. "You're my mama." "I prayed for you." "You came." Amanda swallowed hard, blinking back tears. She stood, turned toward the door. "I'll walk her to the station," Randy said. Grabbing his hat, Eleanor rolled her eyes. "Suit yourself. I'll have the kitchen aired while you're gone." As Amanda stepped out into the dry golden light, her heart felt heavier than her bag. She hadn't expected much when she came west. Not love, not belonging, and yet she'd found both. And now she was leaving them behind for the sake of pride. For the sake of not breaking apart what she had no right to keep. Behind her, the house stood silent and in the window. A little girl pressed her palm to the glass. Watching her family walk away, Olivia's fever began that night. It started with quiet sniffles under her blanket, then escalated into tears that wouldn't stop. By morning, her cheeks were flushed and her little body burned with heat. She wouldn't eat, wouldn't drink, wouldn't speak, only curl into the corner of her bed. Clutching the half-finished scarf Amanda had left behind, "She's just tired," Eleanor said from the doorway. Arms crossed, clearly uninterested, Randy sat beside his daughter, holding her hand. "She hasn't slept since Amanda left. I don't see why a child should be so attached to a stranger," Eleanor muttered. "She's not a stranger to her," Randy said, voice low. "She's gone," Eleanor replied sharply. "It's time to think about what's best for this family." "You're not part of this family," Randy interrupted, rising slowly, "and you never will be." Eleanor stiffened. "Excuse me?" Randy stepped closer, his face unreadable, but his voice like stone. You came here for convenience? For control? For my land? You never once asked what Olivia liked, or how she felt. You looked at Amanda and saw competition. But I saw a mother, a woman who brought warmth into this house, a woman Olivia chose. Eleanor scoffed. You can't possibly mean ... leave, he said, grabbing his hat and coat. You need to leave, she gaped. You would throw away a proper match for a woman who came by accident? Randy turned at the door. Amanda might have arrived by mistake. But she's the only thing that's felt right in years. He saddled his horse faster than he had in months. Olivia's shallow breathing haunted him with every gallop. The scarf was tucked in his coat, along with a sprig of wildflower Olivia had picked the week before and left pressed in a book. By the time he reached the station, the final train of the week was already blowing its whistle. Smoke curled against the sky like a warning. Amanda stood at the edge of the platform, suitcase in hand, her hat pulled low. She was staring out at the tracks, expression unreadable. Randy dismounted, heart pounding. Amanda. He called. She turned, startled. He strode to her, words spilling as they came. You weren't supposed to be here. I know that. I know you got off at the wrong station and ended up in a mess that was never yours to fix. Amanda opened her mouth, but he held up his hand. I just need to say this. He reached into his coat, pulled out the scarf and flower, and held them out. She made this for you. Kept it when you left. Slept with it under her pillow, got sick crying for you. That little girl believes you were sent by God himself. Amanda stared at the items, hands trembling. And maybe, Randy continued, he did send you. Or maybe you just got lucky. But I know this. I can't let you leave. Not because Olivia needs you, though. She does. But because I do. Amanda's eyes filled with tears. You're not someone I invited, he said softer now. But you're someone I've been waiting for all the same. The train screamed, wheels grinding on metal. Amanda looked at it, then back at him, and she stepped away from the edge. Wordlessly, she reached for the scarf, pressing it to her chest. Randy let out a long breath, his shoulders dropping, his heart finally exhaling. The train pulled away, fading into golden dust. Amanda turned to him. I didn't think I belonged anywhere. He smiled, eyes misted. You do now. The sky was wide and forgiving, painted in soft blues and golds of a late spring afternoon. Birds chirped from trees, wildflowers nodded in the breeze, and under the sprawling branches of the old oak at the edge of Cooperland, 3 people stood quietly, each of them once broken in their own way. Now bound together by something mended and whole, Amanda stood in a dress made from repurposed linens. It seemed slightly uneven, hem a touch too short on one side. Olivia had sewn every stitch by hand. The little girl had insisted on it. It's not perfect, Amanda had whispered when she tried it on. It is, Randy had said, voice thick, because it's yours. There was no preacher, no crowd, no rings passed down from generations. Just Randy, Amanda. And Olivia under a tree that had seen more seasons than any of them could count. Randy took Amanda's. Hands in his calloused and strong. I can't fix the world, he said. Voice carrying only for her. But I can fix what's mine. I can fix chairs and fences and broken doors. And if you let me, I'll fix every part of your heart that was ever told. It wasn't enough. Amanda blinked back tears. I do, she whispered. Olivia beamed from where she stood barefoot in the grass, holding a basket of wildflowers. With a joyful spin, she scattered petals in the air, laughing as they fluttered to earth. Then she stepped forward, small fingers slipping into both their hands. You're mine now, she said seriously. Both of you, they laughed, and Amanda knelt to embrace her. Randy wrapped his arms around them both. For a long moment, they stayed that way beneath the old oak's generous shade. Wind threading through their hair, Amanda looked up at Randy. You never did get a proper wedding. I got the only one I ever wanted, he said. Olivia tugged on Amanda's sleeve. Mama? Amanda looked down. The little girl smiled, eyes shining with the kind of knowing only children have. God didn't answer me late, she said. He answered when it was just right. Amanda's throat caught. She kissed Olivia's forehead and held her close. Above them, sun filtered through green leaves, casting dappled light over the earth, over the girl who prayed, the man who dared to hope again, and the woman who once got off at the wrong station, only to find the place she was always meant to be. If this story moved your heart like it moved ours, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to Desert Rose Tales for more unforgettable tales from the frontier. Because sometimes love doesn't arrive on schedule, it shows up dusty. It's uninvited on the wrong platform, but exactly when it's needed most. Ring that notification bell so you never miss a story where fate missed its mark but hearts didn't. This is Desert Rose Tales, where every ending might just be a new beginning.